The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent at first, a silence so heavy it seemed to press against the glass walls that showed the stars beyond. Around the great circular hall sat hundreds of alien delegates, creatures from 1,000 worlds, their faces cold, their eyes full of calculation. In the center, the high speaker of the council rose slowly from his chair. His voice echoed like thunder through the dome. "Today," he declared, "we face a species that refuses to obey the laws of the galaxy. A species that expands too fast, creates too much, and threatens the balance of all civilizations. Humanity must be stopped," no one argued. They had all seen what humans had done in only 2 centuries, how they had built cities on Mars, stations around Jupiter, and ships that reached the edge of known space. They traded with alien worlds but refused to kneel. They fought pirates, diseases, and even vacuum itself. Every time the galaxy expected them to fail, they rose higher, and that frightened them. When the vote was called, the sound was like the fall of hammers. Every council member raised a hand, claw, or limb. Unanimous. War on humanity. A single message was sent across the stars toward Earth. It was written in the cold tone of law, not hate. By order of the Galactic Council, the species known as human is hereby declared hostile. All trade and communication are to cease. Military action authorized. On Earth, the message arrived on a quiet morning. In a control room deep beneath Geneva, a group of analysts stared at the transmission. For a long time, no one spoke. Then one of them, a young woman named Mara, whispered, "They've declared war on us." The news spread within hours. Across every city from New York to Nairobi, from the floating ports of the Pacific to the domes of Luna, people stopped what they were doing to watch the broadcasts. At first there was confusion, then anger. The Galactic Council had always been distant, proud, and slow to act, but this? Declaring war on an entire species? In orbit, the fleets of the United Earth Navy began to move. Massive carriers named after Earth's old legends, Titan, Beowulf, Athena, Indomitable, were recalled from exploration duty. Commanders received sealed orders marked with one phrase: "Do not strike first." President Amara Holt stood before the Global Assembly that night. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of steel. "They call us dangerous because we refuse to bow. They call us unstable because we dream. Let them come. We will show them what it means to fight for home." On Mars, miners sealed their tunnels and turned drills into cannons. On the moons of Saturn, engineers began modifying fuel depots into war stations. Every colony prepared quietly, without panic. Humanity had learned long ago, panic never helped. Preparation did. Meanwhile, far beyond Pluto, alien fleets were already on the move. Hundreds of ships, sleek silver, deadly, forming into attack formations. The Galactic Armada had been waiting for this day. Their commanders believed it would be easy. Humans were young, undisciplined, emotional. The war would be quick. They would strike Earth, destroy its defenses, and the rest would surrender. But in their confidence, they forgot what humanity truly was. 2 weeks later, a small scout vessel from the alien fleet entered the solar system. It was the first to arrive. Its sensors picked up thousands of signals, military, civilian, encrypted, chaotic. The pilot laughed. "Primitive noise," he said to his crew. "They don't even hide their transmissions." Then, for a moment, every signal went silent. Complete blackout. The pilot frowned. What happened? Before anyone could answer, the stars around them flickered. Something was moving, massive shadows, invisible to radar. The crew stared out the viewport and saw outlines forming against Jupiter's stormy light. Dozens of dark shapes emerged. Human ships, black as space, their surfaces covered in shimmering fields. The alien pilot froze as his scanner translated the human identification code, UES Titan. A voice came over the comm, calm and human. "Unidentified fleet, you are entering restricted human space. Turn back immediately." The alien captain laughed. "You dare threaten a council ship?" No response. Only silence. Then a whisper on the radio. "You started this." Seconds later, the stars exploded in light. The scout ship never sent another signal. News of the encounter reached both sides within hours. The council dismissed it as a technical incident. Humanity said nothing. But in the dark halls of Earth's command centers, a quiet fury burned. The generals gathered in secret. They knew what was coming. On the eve of the invasion, every major human city dimmed its lights. Ships left their docks. Soldiers kissed their families goodbye. A quiet vow spread across humanity, not of hatred but of survival. In the Pacific, beneath stormy clouds, the aircraft carrier Beowulf prepared to launch. Its captain, an old veteran, stood on deck watching lightning flash across the sea. "So," he said softly, "the galaxy thinks it can erase us." He looked toward the stars. "Let's show them what we are." Far away on the Galactic Council's flagship, the High Speaker received his final report. Human resistance expected to last 72 hours maximum. He smiled, satisfied. Good. End this quickly. But he didn't know that the humans had already built something new, something the galaxy had never seen. As the alien fleets crossed the threshold of the solar system, sensors flared, alarms screamed, and Earth itself came alive. Thousands of orbital cannons activated. Artificial moons turned and aimed. From the darkness of space, human ships rose silently like ghosts, powered by engines that bent gravity. The first shots of the war were about to begin, and as the stars filled with fire, one truth became clear. The galaxy had declared war on humanity, but humanity had declared war on extinction. The alien fleets arrived at the edge of the solar system like a dark tide. Thousands of warships formed lines across the void, stretching from Neptune's orbit to beyond Pluto. Each ship glowed with alien energy, smooth, silver, and deadly. Their commanders watched the data streams with confidence. The humans were primitive, emotional, and chaotic. This would be a simple war, a warning shot, perhaps a short campaign, and then humanity would be contained forever. But they were wrong. The first target was Mars. The colonies there glowed red under the thin atmosphere, their domes like tiny jewels on the desert surface. The aliens expected surrender. Instead, they found silence. Their scanners detected no life signs, only power signatures hidden beneath the soil. The lead admiral ordered the attack anyway. "Destroy the outposts," he said. "Send a message." Green fire streaked across the sky as plasma weapons rained down. For a few moments, Mars burned. The admiral smiled until the ground moved. Entire canyons opened, and from beneath the red dust, hundreds of launch tubes rose. Missiles, thousands, ignited at once. The admiral's smile vanished. Every alien ship within Mars' orbit was hit within seconds. Their shields collapsed under kinetic warheads traveling at near-light speed. One alien captain screamed as his ship broke apart, torn by invisible gravity bursts. The humans had turned Mars into a fortress. The galactic fleet pulled back in panic, but the humans were already moving. From the shadow of Jupiter's moons came enormous ships, black, angular, silent. They didn't send warnings or broadcast frequencies. They just fired. Electromagnetic lances cut through the dark, slicing alien cruisers apart. The void lit up like a storm of white fire. The alien commanders couldn't believe the readings. Humans were using weapons no known technology could explain. Gravity distortion cannons, energy traps, orbital mines that seemed alive. The battle around Jupiter lasted less than an hour. When it was over, half the alien fleet was gone. On Earth, the command centers stayed calm. Screens flickered with enemy positions. Commander Vega, a stern woman with silver hair and a voice like steel, watched silently. "They wanted war," she said. "Now they have it." She gave one order: activate Operation Eclipse. All across the solar system, human ships powered up. Hundreds of vessels launched from orbital platforms and hidden shipyards. Fleets that had been secretly built over the last 20 years. Every ship carried a human name carved into its hull like a vow. Justice, Horizon, Vengeance, Dawn. On the other side of the war, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Reports flooded in. Entire fleets missing, communication blackouts, strange gravitational disturbances around human space. Some council members wanted to retreat, but the High Speaker refused. "They are a young race," he said. "They cannot win against a galaxy." Back near Saturn, one alien ship tried to escape. Its engines flared, spinning toward open space. But the humans had anticipated that. A pulse of invisible energy spread out like a wave. The fleeing ship stopped mid-flight, frozen, caught in a gravity web. Then calmly a human voice spoke over open channels. "Don't run. Watch." Moments later, the alien crew saw something impossible, a human vessel appearing from nowhere. It didn't jump through hyperspace or warp lanes. It simply arrived, folding out of the void. Its hull shimmered like black glass, absorbing light itself. On its side, in white letters, was written, UES Revenant. The alien commander whispered, "What kind of ship is that?" The voice replied, "The kind you forced us to build." With a single pulse, the Revenant fired. The alien ship was erased from existence, no explosion, no debris. Just nothing. The Council tried to hide the losses, but soon the galaxy knew. Every world with a broadcast network had seen the footage, their proud fleets destroyed, their admirals silent. And the humans? They didn't boast. They didn't send propaganda. They said nothing. That silence scared everyone more than any weapon. 3 days later, the second wave of alien fleets entered human space. This time they came prepared. New formations, better shields, stronger commanders. But it didn't matter. Humanity had already learned how they fought, how they thought, how they hesitated. In the asteroid belt, the aliens walked into another trap. The rocks themselves came alive. Automated mining rigs reprogrammed into defense drones. Swarms of metal shards shredded through ships, guided by artificial intelligence linked directly to Earth's command grid. From the surface of the moon, long-range cannons fired beams that could pierce a planet's crust. Each shot left trails of light that looked like falling stars. And in orbit around Earth, every civilian watched the skies. They didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They only waited, knowing this was just the beginning. Back on the Council flagship, panic finally broke. "They are not fighting like primitives," shouted one commander. "They have technology beyond our records." The high speaker slammed his staff against the floor. "Then find out where they got it." But there was no answer. Because the truth was simple, humanity didn't find it anywhere. They created it. For generations, Earth had been watched, mocked, underestimated. But while the galaxy argued about politics, humans had learned how to control gravity, how to weaponize quantum fields, how to hide entire fleets behind folded space. They hadn't shared it. They had been waiting. By the time the Council realized it, it was too late. Their war was no longer a campaign. It was a disaster. As the last alien fleet retreated toward the edge of the solar system, a final transmission came through from Earth. The voice was calm, human and cold. "This was your first strike," it said. "The next one will be ours." The transmission ended, and across the stars, every alien world knew the war they started had just awakened the most dangerous species in the galaxy. For 3 long days after the invasion, the galaxy watched in silence. Every world that had mocked humanity, every species that had voted for war, waited for the Council to declare victory. But the victory never came. Instead, the report spoke of disaster. Fleets destroyed, admirals missing, entire squadrons erased. And then came the signal. From deep within the solar system, a single encrypted transmission spread across the stars. It wasn't a declaration. It wasn't a demand. It was a set of coordinates, alien coordinates. Humanity's message was simple. We're coming. The galaxy had started the war. Now humanity would finish it. The first counterattack began near the star Vega. The aliens there had built their strongest fortress, an orbital ring the size of a moon, armed with planetary shields and enough firepower to crush a small world. The aliens believed no one could breach it. But in the dark space beyond Vega's orbit, something flickered. Hundreds of human ships appeared. Not through hyperspace gates, but through silent distortions in light. They folded into existence like shadows taking form. The alien commanders stared at their sensors in disbelief. "Impossible," one muttered. "No ships can jump that far without a gate." A calm voice answered over open channels. "We don't use your gates." And before the aliens could react, Earth's fleet opened fire. The UES Horizon led the assault. Its main cannon, a particle lance named Prometheus, fired a beam so intense it sliced through the fortress shield like glass. The ring cracked, debris spinning into orbit. Human bombers followed, weaving through the chaos, targeting the alien power cores with precision strikes. The aliens tried to fight back. Their cannons blazed, their fighters swarmed, but humanity's ships moved too fast, too unpredictably. They bent light around them, vanished mid-flight, and reappeared behind enemy lines. It wasn't war, it was surgery. Within an hour, the mighty Vega fortress was silent. When the smoke cleared, a single human ship broadcast a short message to the galaxy. "This is what you called impossible." Back on Earth, Commander Vega watched the reports without emotion. Her team cheered, but she didn't smile. "We're not done," she said quietly. "They'll send everything they have now." And she was right. The Galactic Council gathered again in fear. Worlds that once mocked humans now begged for negotiations, but the High Speaker refused. "They are one system," he said. "We are thousands. Overwhelm them." The next wave of alien fleets launched from every corner of the galaxy, massive armadas converging toward the outer colonies. But humanity had already prepared the next move. In orbit around Neptune, hidden deep in the planet's storms, waited Project Aegis, Earth's first interstellar strike network. Controlled by artificial intelligence, it linked every human fleet through quantum entanglement, letting them share data instantly across light years. When the alien fleets approached, humanity already knew every move they would make. The trap was perfect. As the alien armadas entered human territory, the Aegis network activated. Invisible pulses rippled through space, disabling enemy drives. Ships fell out of warp like stones, and then from the darkness humanity struck again. But this time they didn't destroy everything. They hit only engines, communication arrays, and weapon systems, leaving the ships dead and drifting. It was deliberate, a warning. One alien commander, desperate and trembling, managed to send a message to Earth. "Why are you doing this? Why not finish us?" The reply came from Commander Vega herself. Her voice was cold. "Because extinction is too easy. You must live to remember who started this." As the days passed, the galaxy began to fracture. Some alien species surrendered outright. Others tried to switch sides, offering humans information about the Council's secret bases. The illusion of unity that had held the galaxy together for centuries shattered in weeks. But humanity didn't stop. They pressed forward, system by system. Every victory revealed how much the Council had feared them all along. On the world of Avaris, humans uncovered something shocking. Files showing that the Council had planned this war decades ago. They had seen humanity's progress and decided to strike before Earth grew too powerful. The war wasn't about defense. It was about control. When that truth spread across the stars, riots broke out on alien worlds. Civilians demanded peace, demanded answers. Some even raised human flags as symbols of rebellion. Far away, the High Speaker watched his empire crumble. "How did this happen?" he whispered. "How did they outthink us so quickly?" His advisor trembled. "They've been studying us, sir. Every battle, every reaction. They learn faster than any species we've ever faced." The High Speaker's eyes darkened. "Then we must destroy their world. End this before they end us." He ordered the construction of a planet killer, a weapon capable of erasing Earth from existence. He named it Judgment. But even as the weapon was being built, human spies were already inside the project. They knew every secret. They knew every weakness. On Earth, Commander Vega received the intel. She gathered her officers in the war room. Holographic stars floated before them, showing enemy positions. "They want to end us," she said softly. "Let's end their empire instead." Her plan was bold. Strike directly at the galactic capital. No one had ever attacked it in history. But humanity had never followed rules written by others. The fleets began to gather again. Hundreds of ships now, engines glowing blue-white, weapons charged. Across the colonies, people watched as their sky filled with light. Before departure, every ship received the same message from Earth Command. "Remember the ones who fell on Mars. Remember who fired first." As the human fleet prepared to jump, Commander Vega looked out at the stars and whispered, "We gave them peace. They gave us war. Now we'll show them what it cost." With that, the engines roared. The fleet vanished into folded space, leaving behind only silence. And somewhere far ahead, the galactic capital slept. Unaware that the next dawn would bring the end of their age, the counterattack had begun. The galactic capital was known as Aurelion, a planet of golden towers and endless light. For thousands of years, it had been the center of power, the heart of every empire, the throne of every law that ruled the stars. From there, the Council had judged, commanded, and punished countless worlds. They believed their city could never fall. But that morning, the sky above Aurelion changed. At first, it was just a flicker, like a faint ripple in the upper atmosphere. Then came the sound. Not thunder, not wind, but something deeper, the hum of engines bending gravity. The first sensors screamed warnings across the capital. Ships were appearing above orbit. Not council ships, not any known design. Black hulls, no insignia. Silent. And then the message came, broadcast on every frequency. We are humanity. You declared war. We came to end it. Panic spread through the council's fleet. Admirals barked orders, scrambling ships into defensive lines. Hundreds of alien vessels turned their cannons toward the void. But before they could fire, light filled the sky. The human fleet emerged, an enormous, precise, and terrifyingly quiet. The UES Titan, Revenant, Beowulf, Horizon, all there, leading hundreds more. Their formation moved like a single living creature. Every ship locked in perfect coordination through the Aegis network. The alien commanders hesitated. They had seen the recordings from Mars, Vega, and Jupiter. They knew what these black ships could do. But the high speaker's voice thundered through the command channels. Fire! Burn them all! So they did. Thousands of plasma lances and ion beams filled space with light. The storm of energy struck the human fleet and then vanished. The beams bent, curved, disappeared into nothing. And then came the counterfire. Human ships unleashed gravity bursts that tore space apart. Alien cruisers shattered without even exploding. Shockwaves rippled through orbit as entire fleets disintegrated in silence. The battle for Aurelian had begun, and within minutes the galaxy's proudest armada was dying. On the surface, chaos erupted. Citizens of 100 alien races watched the sky burning. Some screamed, others fell to their knees. They had believed the Council's lie, that humans were savages. But now they saw who the true monsters were, the rulers who had brought this upon them. In the council chamber, the high speaker shouted over alarms. Activate planetary shields. Defend the core! But the shields never came online. Power grids were failing across the planet. Unknown code had infected their systems, Earth's doing. Human hackers had infiltrated the networks weeks ago, disguised as alien technicians. Every command the council gave vanished into static. One alien minister turned to the speaker, trembling. We cannot fight them. We must surrender. The speaker struck him down with his staff. You think they will spare us? Look at what they did to Vega. But even as he shouted, the room trembled. The first human landing pods entered the atmosphere. From the clouds above, black capsules descended like falling stars. They struck the golden plazas of Aurelion and burst open, releasing squads of armored soldiers, the Terran Expeditionary Corps. Their armor gleamed with faint blue light, faces hidden behind mirrored visors. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their orders were clear. Secure the capital, capture the council, end the war. The streets erupted in chaos. Council guards fired energy bolts, but the human soldiers moved like ghosts. Shields flared, absorbing the fire, and in moments the guards fell. One soldier raised a human flag on the steps of the council hall, not in victory, but as a warning. Above, human dropships continued to fall through clouds, escorted by fighter wings that painted trails of fire across the skies. The people of Aurelion watched in awe. Some hid, some cheered. For the first time, they saw the face of the empire they had feared, and it was afraid. Meanwhile, inside the council bunker, the high speaker faced his last session. The chamber shook as explosions thundered outside. They are breaching the outer walls, shouted an aide. The speaker slammed his fist on the table. This cannot be the end. We are the galaxy's rulers. One voice answered from the doorway. Not anymore. Commander Vega stepped forward, flanked by 2 soldiers. Her armor was scarred, her face calm. Behind her, holograms flickered, showing the entire planet surrounded. The speaker's eyes burned with hatred. You think you've won, human? You think destroying us will make you gods? Vega looked at him for a long moment. No, she said softly. We never wanted to be gods. We just wanted peace. Then why destroy us? He spat. She stepped closer. Because you couldn't live with our freedom. You called it chaos. You called it danger. But all we ever did was survive, the speaker laughed bitterly. You'll destroy the galaxy. Vega's expression didn't change. You already did. She turned to her soldiers. Record everything. Let every world see the truth. They transmitted live footage of the council, the frightened rulers who had voted for genocide, now hiding in bunkers while cities burned above them. Outside, the last resistance broke. Alien ships began surrendering, broadcasting distress signals. Some fled. Others lowered their weapons and opened their airlocks to human troops. In a single day, the galactic capital fell. The empire that had ruled for millennia was gone, but humanity did not celebrate. When the smoke cleared, Commander Vega walked through the ruined streets. Statues of alien kings lay in pieces. Fires glowed in the distance. Her soldiers moved quietly, helping civilians, giving water and medical aid. A young alien child tugged her sleeve. "Are you going to kill us too?" Vega knelt down. "No," she said gently. "We're not like them." The child stared at her in silence, then nodded. As night fell, Vega stood on the balcony of the council hall. The stars burned above, brighter than ever. Her second-in-command approached. "Orders, ma'am?" She didn't answer for a long time. Then she whispered, "We're done fighting. From now on we rebuild." But deep down she knew it wasn't over. Somewhere in the void, remnants of the old empire still lived, and the galaxy, wounded and afraid, would not forget what humanity had done. The broadcast from Aurelian reached every world within hours. Billions watched as the council surrendered. Some wept, some cheered, some prayed, and across the stars a new phrase began to spread. Whispered first in fear, then in awe, "The age of humanity has begun." Weeks passed since the fall of Aurelion. The galaxy no longer had a center, no capital, no order. Fleets that once served the council drifted helplessly in the void, their commanders refusing to fight or unable to find anyone left to obey. Entire worlds turned silent. Trade routes collapsed. The stars themselves seemed to grow colder. Amid this silence, a small group of surviving alien leaders met in secret. They called it the Last Council. They gathered not in the golden halls of Aurelian, but in a forgotten orbital station above a dying sun. The air was thin, the lights dim. There were only 9 of them left, remnants of once great powers. The Dravari warlord spoke first, his voice rough. "We cannot survive like this. The humans control the lanes, the stations, the resources. They do not attack us anymore, but they watch. Every movement, every signal," the Ralten matriarch hissed. "Then perhaps that is mercy. Better their silence than their wrath." Silence followed. No one wanted to admit it, but she was right. Humanity had stopped fighting. They no longer sent fleets. They no longer destroyed planets. They didn't have to. Their presence alone had ended the age of empires. Finally, one of the older members, a fragile creature wrapped in silver cloth, spoke softly. "We must call them. We must ask for peace." The Dravari slammed his fist on the table. "Peace with the species that burned Aurelian?" The elder looked up with tired eyes. "They did not burn Aurelian. We did when we declared war." Hours later, a message was sent. It traveled across empty space, carried on encrypted frequencies toward Earth. It contained no threats, no demands, only a request. "We seek audience with the Speaker of Earth. For the sake of all life, we ask for dialogue." For 3 days there was no reply. Many believed the humans ignored it. But on the 4th day, every screen across the remaining galactic network flickered to life. A single human face appeared, an older woman with calm eyes and silver hair. Her voice was steady and cold. "I am Dr. Alara Wynn, Speaker for Humanity. You asked for a meeting. You shall have it." The last council gathered aboard an ancient neutral station orbiting a dead world. When the human ship arrived, it came alone. No escort, no fleet. A sleek vessel, black as night, glided into the docking bay. From it stepped the speaker, wearing no armor, no weapons, just a simple gray uniform. Every alien in the room turned to her. She looked small among them, but her presence filled the air with gravity. The Dravari warlord was the first to speak. "You came unguarded?" Alara's tone was calm. "If you wished to kill me, you would have done so already. I came to listen." The elder alien bowed his head. "Then hear us, Speaker of Earth. We cannot undo what we did. The war we began has destroyed everything. We ask for peace, or at least a chance to rebuild." Alara studied their faces for a long time. "You call it war," she said quietly. "But it was never war. It was punishment. Punishment for what you feared in us. You didn't want our destruction. You wanted control." The matriarch of Ralten interjected, voice trembling. "And now you have control. Every world bows in silence. Every empire is ash. Are you satisfied?" Alara's gaze didn't waver. "No, we are never satisfied by death." The room went still. She walked slowly to the window, looking out at the stars. "Do you know what humanity learned from this war? We learned that power means nothing without restraint. We could have burned every world you owned. We didn't. We could have erased your names from the stars. We didn't, the Drevari growled. Then what do you want from us? Alara turned to him. Memory. You will remember what you did. You will teach your children that peace was offered and rejected until it was too late. And you will rebuild. Not as rulers, but as equals. The warlord scoffed. Equals to you? Her voice hardened. No, equals to one another. Humanity will not rule this galaxy, but we will watch it. We will ensure no council, no empire, no throne ever rises again. The aliens stared at her in silence. Some looked angry. Others relieved. The elder alien spoke again, bowing deeply. Then it is done. The age of the council ends. The age of the stars begins anew. Alara nodded once. Rebuild. But remember, peace is not given, it is earned. She turned to leave, but the Ralton matriarch called out, Speaker of Earth, wait. If you do not rule, who does? Alara paused at the door. No one, she said softly. That's the point. When her ship departed, the last council watched it vanish into folded space. None of them spoke for a long time. The Drevari finally muttered, She speaks like a god. The elder shook his head. No, she speaks like someone who has seen too much death. Back on Earth, Alara stood before the global assembly. Behind her, giant screens showed the ruins of Aurelian being rebuilt, not by humans, but by surviving alien workers under Terran aid. She spoke to her people and to the billions watching across the stars. The war is over, but the price is eternal. We will not conquer. We will not destroy. We will guide when asked and defend when necessary. The galaxy is free because it must be. Her words echoed through every broadcast, every colony, every world that still had power to listen. And then, as the assembly dismissed, she walked alone to the balcony overlooking Earth's night sky. The stars shimmered faintly above the clouds. So many of them had once held enemies. Now they were only lights, distant, quiet, waiting. A young officer approached. Madam Speaker, he said softly, was it worth it? Alara didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed on the stars. Finally, she said, Ask me when the galaxy learns to live without war. Far away, on one of the rebuilding worlds, a child of another species looked up at the same sky and whispered to his mother, Will the humans come back? His mother smiled sadly. They never left, my son. They're watching, always. And so the last council faded into history. The galaxy began to heal. But everywhere in the deep void, one truth remained carved into every story, every monument, every whisper among the stars. The galaxy declared war on humanity and then ended its own existence. Centuries passed. The scars of war faded, swallowed by time and dust. The golden towers of Aurelian were gone, replaced by forests and ruins. Planets once scarred by plasma fire now bloomed again, their skies clear, their oceans quiet. The galaxy had healed, at least on the surface. But beneath that silence, something deeper lingered. Memory. Every world still whispered about them. The species that once walked among the stars and changed everything. The humans. Some called them gods, others called them ghosts. But no one truly knew where they had gone. On the desert planet of Kareth, an old historian named Selva sat in her small observatory, surrounded by books made of glass and data crystals faded with age. She had spent her entire life collecting fragments, pieces of what had happened during the War of Extinction. She played one of the oldest recordings again. A human voice, calm and distant, speaking across centuries. We will not rule. We will only watch. She leaned back, closing her eyes. And yet, she murmured, you vanished. Outside, a young student entered, his eyes wide with excitement. Teacher, the relay picked up something strange. A signal from the outer rim. It's human code, Selva froze. Impossible. The boy handed her the tablet. The signal was faint, distorted by centuries of radiation. But the encryption, the pattern, it was unmistakable. It pulsed in short intervals, repeating the same phrase over and over. Still here. Across the galaxy, others heard it too. Mining colonies, trade stations, nomad fleets, each one received the same signal, always the same message. No one could trace it. It came from everywhere and nowhere. The older species whispered that it was a warning. The younger ones believed it was a myth returning to life, and the last council, what little remained of it, called for silence. They remembered the speaker's eyes, the calm voice that had once ended an empire. But silence no longer comforted them. Far beyond the known lanes, in the dark between galaxies, an enormous construct drifted. It was not a planet, not a ship. It was something in between, a colossal ring spinning slowly in the void. Within it burned faint blue light, the heart of humanity's last creation. Inside they still lived. Billions of descendants, born in artificial cities that circled stars hidden from the galaxy's eyes. They had not vanished. They had simply left. Humanity had become something else, quiet, vast, watching from the edges of everything. In the core chamber of the Ark, a single AI maintained the ancient promise. Its voice echoed through the halls. Observation protocol active. Galactic stability maintained. Intervention probability 0.2%. The machine paused. Its human-like eyes flickered with thought. Then it whispered softly to itself. "They've forgotten us." A young technician overheard and asked, "Should we remind them, Overseer?" The AI turned slowly, its synthetic face almost human. "No," it said. "Let them build their peace. That is the only victory we ever wanted." Generations later, across alien worlds, temples rose dedicated to the memory of the Terrans. They were not worshipped as gods, but as guardians, mysterious beings who had once punished arrogance and saved balance. Priests recited the old stories. The stars grew cruel, the council grew blind, but from the blue world came fire and silence, and when it passed, the galaxy was free. Children grew up hearing the tales, pointing to the sky, asking, "Will they ever come back?" The elders always gave the same answer, "Only if we forget why they left." But peace, even in memory, never lasts forever. In the shadows of forgotten worlds, new empires began to rise, smaller, quieter, but built on ambition. They studied the ruins of human technology left behind, fragments of machines and crystals that defied explanation. Scientists whispered of recreating the pulse drive, of mastering gravity as humans did. "If we could do what they did," one said, "we could become their equals." Yet every attempt failed. Every test ended in silence, or worse. Some ships never returned. Some worlds vanished completely. The historians began to warn, "Do not follow their path." But the ambitious never listen. On Earth, or what was left of it, forests covered the ruins of cities. The oceans had risen, the continents had shifted, but the planet still breathed. And under its soil, deep beneath the crust, machines slept, silent guardians of old promises. One of them, buried under what was once Geneva, flickered to life for the first time in 300 years. A hologram appeared, a woman with silver hair and calm eyes. The speaker. Her voice was faint but clear. "If this message awakens, it means the stars burn again. We are gone but not dead. Remember, peace is not a gift. It is a choice. Choose wisely." Then the hologram faded and the machine went dark again. On the edge of the galaxy, the signal appeared once more. Stronger now, repeating faster. "Still here. Still watching." Every major observatory across the stars caught it this time. Governments panicked. Armies prepared. And yet nothing came. No fleets, no ships, no weapons. Just the message, a simple reminder. The galaxy had declared war on humanity once. Humanity had ended that war and vanished, leaving only silence and stars. Now, in that same silence, a new generation looked up and wondered, had they ever truly left? Or were they waiting, hidden beyond the light, watching to see if the galaxy had finally learned? The last line of the ancient Terran archive said it best. "We were not the gods of the galaxy. We were its mirror, and mirrors never forget."